If you are frustrated from having low views on your stories, then in this video, I'm going to give you techniques that you can use to increase your Instagram story views immediately. These are tried and true techniques that worked for myself as well as some of my students. So if you are ready to double your Instagram story views, then keep on watching this video. Hey guys, my name is Katelyn Redding, and on my channel I teach coaches, course creators, and consultants how to generate more leads and more income. Now, I talk a lot about Instagram on my channel, and why is that? Well, Instagram is part one of your funnel, or step one of your funnel. If you want to know all the steps to a funnel, then just go down below this video and watch my free training. Now, what about Instagram stories? Well, your Instagram stories is where your community or your audience hangs out. That's where they get to know you. Now, in order for an audience or community member to convert all the way over into a paid client, they need to know, like, and trust you. So if you're looking at those three things, your Instagram stories is all about the know. So what we post on our stories is going to allow our audience or community to get to know us as the CEO, the business, and the brand. Now, I have created some other videos that share more about what to post inside of your stories, and they also are going to give you some ideas, some creative ideas that you can also duplicate. But in this video, we're talking about increasing your Instagram story views, the amount of people who are coming on your stories, watching your stories, and sticking around. Remember, we want people to watch our stories because this is such a vital piece to that know, like, and trust formula, if you will. And this is what we need to convert them over. So step one, in order to increase your Instagram story views, is to make sure that you're changing it up. Don't just constantly post the same thing. Don't just constantly reshare different quotes, different memes, or different posts from other people, or even your own content. I want you to show behind the scenes, share into your world. Remember, how can somebody get to know you? And by changing it up, it's just like a movie, right? We're not watching the same scene over and over again. There's constant change happening, and this is going to be really important inside your stories for audience retention, for people to stick around and watch all of your stories, the entire story. So by changing it up means you can maybe perhaps put up your camera and do a time-lapse video of you working at your desk or working on tasks. Another idea is just sharing a day in the life of. You can definitely also do where you just have an image and some text on top. But what I'm just trying to say is you don't want the same thing over and over again. I do encourage you to hop on the video, put your face on video, and talk to your audience, but just make sure that's not all you're doing. Now, alongside this is you want to make sure that you're spacing all of your stories out. Don't just lump them all together and think that you're done for the day. Now, I know that life kind of happens, and this kind of idea of just sitting down, posting on your stories, and then leaving it kind of is the best case scenario, and I would suggest that if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do, but ideally you do want to break it up, because what this is going to do is every time you post on your stories, it just moves your bubble head at the very front, and it just basically gives your audience a notification that you have another story. If instead you post all at once, as soon as somebody has done those stories or watching those stories, you get pushed to the back and maybe forgotten about. Now, something that I have talked about before is allowing your stories to expire. If you're noticing that your story views are dropping, or maybe you even posted a lot of stories for the day, allow them to completely expire. And I mean, like, allow 24 hours in between before you post another story. And what this does, it just kind of deletes all of those and gives you a fresh start. And then again, your bubble pops up at the beginning of the stories, and it's more enticing for people to watch them. Now, if you are letting your stories expire, another tip to increase your story views is make sure that that first story that you post is something that is either engaging or what your audience likes. So what I would do is go back to my archives and find what stories or what type of stories is it that my audience is more engaged with, or I'm having the most views. For me personally, it's when I post about my kids. And in particular, it's when I post some funny things about my youngest, Lily, because she's a little cray cray. And that's what I find most people are entertained with or look forward to watching again and again. So if I start my stories after I've let them expire with something funny about Lily, they're going to more likely stick around and watch the other stories. Now, a method that I have seen done, and I have to say, don't really do this. I find this is kind of out of integrity for myself, is don't do it where, say, I posted a story of Lily and she's doing something funny and then immediately back to back post something about my business. That's kind of like slamming it in there and being a little bit slimy. I mean, if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But whatever is in the integrity of yourself and your business and your brand, just keep up with that. Now, going alongside with that is categorizing your stories. So what I mean by that is maybe picking a few buckets, if you will, just like how you might have some content pillars, you kind of want to have some categories of stories that you're always going to post. So something for myself, or maybe for you, if you have kids, would be about your kids, maybe about your exercise routine, maybe a day in the life of, or testimonials. You have these common grounds of content that your audience is going to be familiar with and look forward to learning from you. Just an idea tip. Another fun category to include is some like games, like this or that, or something that is engaging with your audience, doesn't have anything to do with your business maybe, but it's just something fun, light, and relaxing, if you will, for your audience. Now, this technique is probably my pet peeve when it comes to Instagram stories and watching other people's Instagram stories, is when it's just them talking on video and they add captions but no text. And so what I mean by that is that there's captions to the stories, but there's no text to tell me what the story is about. Now, I have a low attention span, so if I don't know what that story is going to be right off the hop, I'm probably not going to watch that story, and probably not the other ones that are after that. I'm completely skipping over to the next person. And the truth is that's probably the same, or is the same for most people when they're watching stories. So if you find yourself talking on camera, instead of just hitting the caption button, make sure to add some teaser text. And to even top that off a little bit further is pick text, or pick a sentence, if you will, that will hook your audience in to make them want to actually turn up their volume and listen to the entire story. Now, another one is to make sure that you're still adding a call to action. This could be just to maybe go watch a highlight, maybe it's to go check out your link or a video or some other, whatever you have, but include a call to action. Perhaps it's even just asking for some engagement or asking for some feedback. Give something for them to interact with, which will slide me over to the next tip to increase your story views, is make sure you're adding interactive tools. Now, Instagram wants us to use these, so they promote them for us, but using things like polls, the question box, the slider tool, those are all tools that are meant for our audience to engage with. Instagram not only wants us to use these, but our audience also wants us to use them too. So by increasing our engagement in our stories, Instagram will push out our stories to more audience members who maybe are not watching your stories as it is. Now, to top that technique or tip off just a little bit more is I encourage you to use interactive stickers in a unique way. What is something that you haven't really seen somebody else use that sticker? So instead of like a poll, just yes or no, you know, adding some text, adding some fun emojis, something that resonates with your audience. Now, my last two tips for you is, the first one is to create suspense in your stories. And one simple way that you can do this, something that I learned from another creator, is instead of, say you're traveling somewhere or you want to show the scenery of where you're at, instead of just going and showing the entire scenery, build some suspense by showing the ground first and slowly bringing up the camera to show the entire scenery. This is going to want to entice somebody to watch the entire story. And my very last tip for you is something that maybe not necessarily will increase your Instagram stories, but is definitely going to increase your audience retention and conversion. And that is to interact and engage with your audience who is watching. Because we all have those people who will watch all of our stories all of the time, or at least most of the time. Just like how you probably have a few people that you watch their stories all the time. We have that as well, so go and interact with those people, engage with them, and thank them for being there. Build that relationship, because the likelihood of that relationship converting on later on is going to be a lot higher. So with that said, those are all the techniques and tips that I have for you to increase your Instagram story views. Make sure you go and watch that free funnel training that's going to give you the 5 steps to create some consistent cash flow in your own business. The link is just in the description under this video. And with that said, guys, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Go ahead, watch some of my other videos. And just like always, give this video a thumbs up. Go ahead, watch some of my other videos. And lastly, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and tap that notification bell, because every Sunday I like to post new videos that are going to teach you how to generate more leads and more income into your very own business. Bye for now.